Pecha Kucha 132, Crying Freeman, and Deadpool. If some of the stuff I'd watched last week was with some of the stuff I've read this week, I would have called this week Naked Week, because between Neo Nomicron and Crying Freeman, I've been reading a lot of books where dudes get very naked on the bus. But whatever. This week, some stuff was safe. I had some good Batman, Jeff Loeb, and Tim Sale. And this was a book where Jeff Loeb was actually writing stuff that was not rubbish, like that Wolverine comic I talked about probably a couple of months ago at this point. Haunted Night, I don't know if it's a collection of stories that all take place on Halloween, but the first one is basically about Batman being burnt out, and this woman literally walks into his life out of nowhere, and Bruce Wayne comes exceptionally close to giving up being Batman. He may also, his decision may also be based on the fact he's been poisoned by Scarecrow's fear toxin, but it's probably one of the more realistic stories you're likely to get about Bruce Wayne being Batman. Second up is the Alice in Wonderland themed Mad Hatter thing, where it's revealed Bruce Wayne might have, as a kid, made his mum wear the pearls that she got mugged for on that famous night. So maybe he's so guilty for specific reasons. And then it ends with No Word of a Lie, a rip-off of The Christmas Carol, where the Joker is in this comic just to be the ghost of Christmas present, except it's not taking place at Christmas, it's taking place at Halloween because Batman. I have nothing to say about this except I can't believe they did this with a straight face. Nemi, I read a collection of Nemi's Nemi cartoons. It's a short comic strip that appears in the free newspaper Metro. I've never read a bad one. I find it to be typically very entertaining, quite light-hearted. I like the art. It's like, to me, it's the opposite of something like Hagar the Horrible. I've never read a good one. Typically you'll get the 3-panel, the 4-panel, the 5-panel single joke per day in the newspaper. This is a collection of those strips, and also larger ones. I'm not sure where they were originally published. Maybe they weren't published anywhere except this book. Like the one on the left where Nemi is going to sell art but create an alias insane murderer type person to pretend is the author of these artworks, and then she's going to be the PR person and then make a load of money. It's crazy, and that's kind of how she is. She's fun, and she's a goth, and there's this comic that's about 8 pages long, where in the middle she kind of loses her faith in who she is, and her imaginary friend, who is Alice Cooper, gives her a bloody long pep talk. It's weird, but it's good. It's good stuff. Right. Highly recommend Nemi. Crying Freeman, classic manga, Kazuo Koike, Ryoichi Ikigami, they're both savages. If it wasn't done in the 70s, it was done with the 80s. Crying Freeman is an assassin for hire. He kills people, and when he kills them, he cries. This is also a love story between Freeman and the woman who they both fall in love with each other at the very start of the first comic. There is nudity and violence in this comic. There actually is a parental advisory sticker on the front. Can you imagine? Yeah, romance is important to this, as is the violence. Crying Freeman becomes an assassin because he gets kidnapped and hypnotized by this crazy old man who's the head of a criminal organization of assassins. And Crying Freeman turns out to be like an assassin genius, so he's going to be the new head of the organization. The first discernible antagonist of Crying Freeman is this Yakuza dude, who is the second in command, but then Crying Freeman kills the first guy. And this guy survives his first assassination attempt from Crying Freeman, so he's as cool as he looks, and he looks pretty cool for a badass Yakuza. Crying Freeman is also backed up by his trusty sidekick, who is a master of disguise, a bad motherfucker, and this is him with his eyes open, because sometimes Asians do look Asian, I don't know. Don't hate me for saying such a thing, I'm joking. Yeah, Crying Freeman's got a pretty strong support cast, but sometimes the nudity is gratuitous. There's this widow of a Yakuza boss who for some reason is going to ambush Crying Freeman but can't be bothered to wear a bra or a top. She's been in a helicopter on her way there. Was she not cold? Shrug. I don't know, but Kazuo Koike likes to do weird things. Right. Speaking of weird things, Deadpool. It's always a risk when you buy a comic book that's on sale. This was £6 at the front desk, but this shit had me laughing on the bus. I don't know. Oh, it's Marvel Now, it says on the front. Okay, so this is probably about 10, maybe 15 years old. I think that's how old Marvel Now is. There's some kind of massive crossover event that Deadpool doesn't really understand, and therefore I don't understand because I don't know what happened. And basically, people's personalities flipped, so good guys like Kurt Wagner, Nightcrawler, became arseholes. And arseholes like Deadpool are saying hi to Carnage, and Carnage is saying hi back. This also leads to the short return of Apocalypse, who was kind of killed off, and he shows up just to punch Deadpool in the chest and cave his chest in. Like I said, hilarity ensued. This is the kind of stuff that does it for me. When Marvel is just being silly, I'm having a good time. And violent. Silly helps, though. And there's a crazy propaganda thing that turns into a farce at the end that's about the Roxxon company, who's headed by a Minotaur who just gets into a fight with the creative team behind Deadpool. It's ridiculous, but it's great. This is perfect comics. Right, so sad clown of the week. There's a few. The Joker trailer actually contains a real sad clown. I was doing unpaid work yesterday, so I'm certainly a sad clown. But what I really want to talk about is, because it was April Fool's Day on Monday, April the 1st, I went onto my security training course, and we had a full day of actual teaching where they taught us stuff. The classroom was held in order by the teacher, who was different from the normal teacher in that they had clearly had knowledge of what it was their subject was. It was British values, a bizarre thing to teach people who are British, but it's part of the reason the course is free. They're mandated by the government to teach this. But it was taught, and we did actually have to learn things about the law and politics and stuff. And we were even given a schedule of what to expect for the following weeks. So on April Fool's Day, I went onto my training course, and they were, from start to finish, professional. On Monday. We came in to do the British values test on Tuesday. It's a 5-minute test. It's literally 5 minutes. It's 15 questions. They're multiple choice, and there's only 3 answers to choose from. And a child, literally a child, could do this. Half of the people who showed up at 10 o'clock in the morning never took the test because the computers we had to use to do this test on were so defective in 6 hours. They couldn't download security updates to just enable the PCs to be used. By Thursday, the schedule we had been given on Monday was no longer appropriate because the staff had gone back to making it up as they go along. So when I say that this Monday, April Fool's Day, was like the proof there is a God, because he was just taking the piss with this shit on a cosmic level. That has to be the sad clown for the week. So that brings us to the end of Pecha Kucha 132, and I will see you next time.